So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Avinash, as most of you know, and I am doing this for my personal project. My question is, can I raise awareness to ISE MYP4 students about alcohol and its effects on the body and mind? I would gladly like to answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. Alright, so table of contents. So what you'll learn. You'll learn about what alcohol is, whether alcohol is a drug, the new law on alcohol, why teenagers drink, the effects of alcohol and the effects on the brain, and the levels of blood alcohol content, drinking and driving, and then I'll give you some of my own advice. Alright, so let's start off with alcohol. Alcohol in this topic is relevant to the chemical ethanol, so it's not the ones which are present in I'm talking about alcoholic beverages here. And it's what makes people drunk, tipsy, or in medical terms, intoxicated. Right, so is alcohol a drug? Who here thinks that alcohol is a drug? Please raise your hand. Alright. Who here thinks that it isn't? Alright. Well, those who said it was a drug, yes, it is indeed a drug. It's one of the most commonly used legal drugs. It is harmful to a developing body, and I'll go into more depth about this later. The intensity of the harm which is inflicted upon you depends on your blood alcohol content. It's important to know that alcohol is poisonous. So that means it can inflict harm or even death on one person. Alcohol abuse has short-term and long-term consequences. So, legislation. Alcohol is legal in the Netherlands after the age of 16. So once you're 16, you're permitted to drink 0 to 15% alcoholic beverages. Once you become 18, you're allowed to drink strong alcohol, which is 15% and above. Most of you know there was a new law, and in this law, it was supposedly supposed to change to 18 years, but what they instead did was they reinforced it. So now, what happens is, if you are found under 16 in a public place drinking alcohol, what happened in the past was that the bartenders got fined and you were left okay, but now you're the one who's getting fined and it can come on your permanent record. So it still stays at 16 for now, but they're trying to change it to 18 in 2014. Why do teenagers drink? So why do you guys think that teenagers drink? Does anyone have any? Social?
It's cool, I guess.
Cool? Yeah? Alright. Well, insecurity. We all want to seek acceptance, and we might do some crazy things which we might regret in the future due to this. Peer pressure. Most of us want to fit in or be part of a social group, and this is when we're pressured into drinking to do so. Experimentation. We're all curious. We want to know what it's all about. We've seen these movies. We know what happens. To feel good. Alcohol can relax your body, and it can reduce your social worries. But if you drink at a young age, your brain can make a connection with alcohol and feeling good. So that means in the future, you might feel the need to have alcohol in order to feel good. So this might not be beneficial for you in the future. Alright, effects of alcohol. Short-term effects. Distorted vision, hearing, and coordination. Pretty self-explanatory. Alter perceptions and emotions. You know when someone's under the influence of alcohol, they usually act slightly more moody. Yeah, this is exactly what it is. Impaired judgment. This is when people do things which they don't want to do or aren't able to do so because their mind isn't in the correct, or not correct, current mindset as if you were sober. Bad breath. If someone's been drinking, you can usually notice it on their breath, and it's not very pleasant to smell. Urinating frequently. This is because alcohol is diuretic. It takes valuable liquids from your body and it is used to urinate so that you can get all the alcohol out of your bloodstream. This ties into hangovers. Hangovers happens because due to excessive amounts of drinking, and you usually wake up in the morning feeling dehydrated. This causes pains usually specifically in your head, so you might get headaches or migraines. A tip might be to drink some water or so before you sleep so that you are able to recover at least some of the valuable fluids which you lost. Alcohol poisoning. Alcohol poisoning is when you consume more alcohol than your liver can process. So this can happen when you binge drink. Binge drinking is when you drink high quantities of alcohol in a short period of time with the goal of being drunk or playing a drinking game and not noticing. Symptoms of alcohol poisoning include irregular breathing and comas. And I'll go more into depth about comas, but for now I'll show you this video.
Oh, sorry, stop.
Oh, you're on play.
Sound.
Alright.
Jump down off the stairs. Look quickly in your eyes. Make you wonder if I'm dead or alive. And I just wait. If I could.
Alright, I found that nice because it shows how you would end your night if you were drinking, and you wouldn't want to obviously do that. Alright, so now let's move on to long-term consequences. We'll start off with cirrhosis and cancer of the liver. Cirrhosis is when there's scarring in your liver and it cannot be repaired. So on the top there's a picture of a healthy liver, and on the bottom there's one which is cirrhosis, and you can see there's a clear difference between the two. Loss of appetite. Okay. Loss of appetite. This means that you won't eat as frequently, and this could result in vitamin deficiencies or even lack of nutrients, which are required for growth. Stomach problems. This will mean you will experience stomach upsets, and it's not nice to have. Heart and central nervous system damage. This damages both of these, and I'll go more into depth about it now. Memory loss. This is a very important one because what alcohol does is it damages the end of your neurons, so your nerve receptors. These are also called the dendrites. And what happens is it causes problems between transferring information from one cell to another. So this means your messages can't transfer their messages, well, your brain cells can't transfer messages as clearly as they could if you weren't drinking. So this could be really bad for you, especially in your teenage years as you're doing exams, setting your tests, and these could either make or break your future. Problems with sex. This means that in the future you might have problems with having a child of your own. High risk for future overdosing. This is usually when you drink more to get the same effects. So once you start drinking, you're like, oh, okay, it's alright, I'll only have one or two. But then once you start drinking, it's already too late. And you're likely to overdrink. And this can have negative impacts on the people around you. So for example, your family. Effects on the teenage brain. This is a brain activity during a memory test which was conducted by 15-year-olds. On the top is a brain which hasn't been drinking alcohol, so it's all clean. And at the bottom there's a picture of a frequent drinker. As you can see, there's a clear difference between the two, and the one on the top performed better on the test. So this could happen to you. For example, let's say you go partying once a week or maybe twice a month, and you start drinking relatively high quantities of alcohol. This means that you're subjected to having problems with your memory, as I mentioned before. And it's important to know that your brain does not stop developing until you're around 23, 24, in your mid-20s. So please be aware of this and try and prolong it. Levels of blood alcohol content. It's important to know that it differs per person when it comes to the amount of glasses. So something might happen quicker for someone. So for example, someone might get drunk quicker than someone else. So this depends on your gender, your weight, and several other factors. So if you have a blood alcohol content from 0 to 0.05, you'll feel relaxed and cheerful. It increases your heart rate, and you can feel less pain. So your appetite grows and you start urinating more frequently. Tipsy. This is when when you have blood alcohol content of 0.05 to 0.15. You experience several mood changes. Your reaction time, memory, and coordination reduce. It becomes tougher to handle situations. And now, when 0.15 to 0.3, you're drunk. So all the effects I previously mentioned, they're enhanced, but you become very emotional as well. And the thing is, you can get sick and puke, so you might not want that. So the next stage is 0.3 to 0.4. This is when you are wasted. Your senses numb, and you can get confused. You become extremely intoxicated, and this further affects your speech and thoughts, and you still vomit and end up feeling sick. The final stage is when you have a blood alcohol content of 0.4 or above. This is the knockout stage. So this is when your respiration slows down extremely, so that you can even get in a coma or die. And it's important to know that there is a very fine line between tipsy and knockout and coma. So one moment you might end up feeling tipsy, and the other moment you might end up passing out in the toilet or falling into a coma. So please be aware of that. Drinking and driving. This is extremely dangerous to do because alcohol is a depressant. It slows down your bodily functions and it reduces your coordination and reflexes. So, time. This is in relation to driving because you need all of those things to ensure that you watch out for other cars and you don't hurt yourself or other people. The legal limit is 0.05 if you're driving. And if you have any more than that, you can end up getting fined, you lose your license, or you might even go to jail for it. So, you might not have started driving because you're too young for it, but you should also be careful when you bike and you're influenced with alcohol. You will need these to watch out for several cars, or you might get tipsy and you need your balance on your bike. So please be aware of that. Yeah. So it's important to know that your liver can process one drink in 1 to 1.5 hours. So this cannot be sped up through any means. So let's say your friends say, "Oh, okay, have a cold shower. It will become better." Well, you might feel better, but the thing is that you're still having the same amount of blood alcohol content until your liver is able to fully process it. So a tip would be to have a designated driver. So that's pretty much a person who stays sober, and then he or she ensures safety of the whole group, so that no one gets injured. Alright, so alcohol-free drinks. These are cool drinks to have, and they can make you feel social, and these are basically for people who don't want to drink. There might be issues with religion or people who want to follow what their parents said. And these are also for people who don't per se like alcohol because it can make them feel sick and out of control. So this is ideal for them, as it is a good alternative and it allows either similar or different new taste experiences for the person. So you can find all these recipes on www.happydrinks.no. Alright, so now I'll give you some advice and my conclusion. So try to procrastinate as much as you can when it comes to drinking alcohol. As I mentioned, your brain does not fully stop developing until you're in your mid-20s. So try to prolong it as long as possible. And once you start drinking legally, make sure you stick to your limits or try not to go above the stage tipsy, because as I mentioned, there's a really fine line between tipsy and coma, and this is very dangerous for you. And it's very important to know that you don't need alcohol to have fun. You guys have done it so far. I'm sure you had some fun parties without alcohol, and you should be able to do those again, have those again. And if you need any help, you can always contact Mrs. Noel, or you can talk to me in person, and I'll keep all your stuff confidential relating to alcohol. So, will you guys think before you drink? Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.